Ever wonder why it feels like so many people are traveling on private jets these days? And I'm not talking the billionaires of the world like Bill Gates, Jay-Z, Taylor Swift, all of whom have some of the highest private jet carbon footprints, by the way. No. I am talking random influencers, self-described gurus, and maybe even people you know in real life are posting pictures like these. Posing with friends in front of white leather seats, looking reflective out an airplane window, maybe even holding up a little bottle of champagne with a nonchalant, "Yeah, I do this all the time" look on their face. With private jets costing anywhere from $3,000 to $18,000 per hour, that's a whole lot of moolah going around. So how are so many people affording to soar the skies this way? Well, most likely it's because they're not soaring the skies in these pictures. Instead, they may be squarely on the ground, booking out one of the many fake private jet studios that are intended just for taking photos. That's right, there is a whole business of studios where you can pose and pretend you're on a luxury private jet. Sure, these studios may have originally popped up for movie or commercial sets, but nowadays they found a customer base and people trying to flex a lifestyle they don't truly have, aka fake rich, which is exactly what I want to talk about in today's video. More specifically, fake rich flexing when it comes to vacations. Because my friends, there's a lot and it can get quite bizarre. And even if we don't directly participate in fake rich flexing, it still affects us psychologically and financially. It can make us feel inadequate, prone to overspending, and negatively reset the baseline of what we consider normal. I've been thinking about making this fake rich flexing a new series on my channel where every time we talk about a different way that people lean into conspicuous consumption or lifestyle inflation to convey status. So if that sounds interesting, let me know in the comments what you think. And if you like this video, let me know what your ideas are for other subcategories of fake rich flexing that I could cover. I have a few ideas like fake rich flexing of cars, clothes, homes, so let me know your thoughts. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Kara and I make videos on the intersection of money, media, and intentional living. Essentially, I love talking about the ways that we consider and use money and the ways that media has shaped our money habits, all with hopefully the goal of helping us improve our finances so that we can better live the lives of our dreams. And I know that sounds cheesy, but if that's something you're interested in, be sure to subscribe and check out my other videos like this one on how designer brands keep you poor. Designer brands, by the way, a great fake rich flexing tactic and something I cover in that video, but today we're using it as a segue. So what exactly is fake rich? For the purposes of this video, when I say fake rich, I'm talking about someone who is trying to project a certain wealth, affluence, status that may not accurately reflect their real financial situation. This isn't an Anna Delvey scam artist thing, but more the everyday ways that so many of us, influencers and non-influencers alike, curate our identities to impress others. Side note, one thing that I don't really talk about in this video, but I think it's worth calling out, is that some people aren't faking rich. Obviously, some people are actually rich, some being self-made, but also some just being born into wealth. If you know you have a friend who comes from loaded parents and they're always off on a yacht somewhere or jet setting, it's not fair to you to compare your travels or life against theirs. We are not all starting at the same place. But when it comes to fake rich flexing for vacations, there are a handful of tactics that can be used to make it seem like you're rolling in it. One of the tactics was the fake private jet studios we mentioned earlier. If you want to go a step further, you can even rent out a fake plane to party in with your friends. Now, candidly, I'd categorize this as a more extreme version of fake rich flexing that I don't think most people are doing. Definitely some, and I'm willing to bet it tends to be the more influencer types who have to maintain appearances for their business, especially those who have guru courses about how to become a millionaire in 30 days, cue the onslaught of hustle mentality memes and acting like their coaching is the only thing standing between you and a private jet. But while most might not partake in a whole fake private jet photo shoot, there are other ways that you can bring luxury items into your vacation just to flex. One fake rich flexing tactic is to rent luxury items for your trip. You can rent luxury cars, yachts, even designer clothes and handbags can be rented out for your vacation. This type of temporary ownership can absolutely be a fun experience for some in and of itself, but it's also a way to create a facade of a more luxurious lifestyle than you can truly afford. To be clear, I'm not shaming anyone who does these kinds of rentals on vacation because, like I said, they can be experiences. Just like how a zipline tour or a lazy pool might be a fun vacation experience for someone else. But it's important to recognize these methods for faking rich, because without knowing, it's far too easy as media consumers to fall into a toxic comparison trap. We might see an Instagram feed or TikTok page full of glitzy captured moments of dancing on boats, sparkly jewelry, and a car that's worth $250,000. And then we look at ourselves in the reflection of our phones and we see ourselves and we think, oh, I just finished a sleeve of Oreos. They were delicious, but I'm in my pajamas and what am I doing with my life? Why don't I have money? Or, something like that, because that's not relatable. But it does bring us to the next tried and true method for fake rich flexing on vacations, which is curated social media posts. But before we get into that, life can be expensive, Even if you're not out here fake rich flexing, just day-to-day expenses can really add up. So if you're looking for an easy way to save money, check out today's sponsor, Upside. Upside is the place for earning cash back on purchases that you're already making, from groceries to gas to dining out. I use Upside when I fill up my gas, and just this week I got $8.50 back for just filling up my tank once, and all I had to do was click a few buttons on the app. And right now you can actually get an extra 25 cents off every gallon of your first tank of gas when you click the link in my description below to download Upside and use the promo code KaraNicole. How does it work? Easy peasy. All you have to do is claim the offer to the thing you were already going to buy, then pay like normal with your credit card or your debit card, and then follow the steps on Upside's app to show that you paid. And boom, extra cash back, which means extra savings. And yes, it's real cash back. It's not rewards or points, just actual money that you can directly transfer to your bank. Top Upside earners are making as much as $300 a month. Seriously, I cannot recommend Upside enough, so go check it out and see how much cash back you could be getting on purchases you're already making. And like I said before, right now you can get an extra 25 cents off every gallon of your first tank of gas when you download the Upside app using the link below and use the promo code KaraNicole. Thank you so much to Upside for sponsoring today's video. So there is a quote I love that goes, "The reason we struggle with insecurity is because we compare our behind the scenes with everyone else's highlight reel." And social media is the perfect facilitator for this. We choose what we post online, and more often than not, we want to share the good moments. I know I do this with social media 100%, including with travel content. If you go to my Instagram right now, you're gonna see travel pictures, and I don't mean to do it in a malicious way, but I'm 100% falling into that idea of wanting to show my highlights. I don't feel very inclined to show the more mundane or unpleasant parts of life. In my brain, that's more for my inner circle versus just the broad public. But regardless, it ends up creating a curation of my life that only focuses on the positive. And for some people, namely influencers and celebrities, the focus also blatantly ignores the business side of their curations. Not everyone might know this, but a lot of people with online followings, especially lifestyle or travel-related followings, can get free or discounted trips as part of brand deals. Whether it's a brand trip or they're promoting the resort they're staying at, the people you follow on social media might be getting paid or reimbursed for their glitzy gallivanting. Alliterative, I know. And I know that doesn't completely stop us from comparing, but it's important context to keep in mind. Because if anything, there might be a whole lot of work going on that we don't see that makes the trip less carefree than pictures alone suggest. Nevertheless, we'll probably still compare ourselves. And research shows that social comparison has been linked with negative mental health outcomes, such as depression. I also think that social comparison fuels our spending, but we'll talk about that more later. And one of the triggers I imagine most people experience, because I know I do, is when we see travel posts. Whether it's people going to exotic locations you've always wanted to go to, or they just look like they have more fun with their friends than you do, or they look more glamorous and photogenic while exploring the world. There are so many ways that vacation posts can create envy or feelings of inadequacy. but it's critical to remember that social media is a highlight reel and not a fully accurate one either. If you've ever seen those Instagram versus reality articles, you'll know that many of those travel flexes or vacation spots, they're not showing everything. Like this hanging rock on social media that can look adventurous and dangerous, but is in reality just a really good photo crop. Or how so many travel spots that are drooled over on social media are obviously very popular and thus very crowded. But of course, in the curated social media posts we see, they're often shown as if you're the only person in the world there. There's also just the reality that photos let us make edits. And yes, some people will go extreme on this, but even the less extreme edits, like adding saturation to a photo, makes a place look a lot more photogenic than it may be in reality. Our obsession with curating picture-perfect photos while traveling also has us then chasing picture-perfect moments themselves, even at the expense of practicality. The floating breakfast tray trend for vacation photos is a great example. The aesthetics and vibes of eating off a floating pool tray are immaculate, no doubt, and honestly, if I had the chance to do this too, it'd be incredibly tempting. Maybe I'd even do it for the experience. But if I think deeper about what the experience would be like, I'm guessing there would be a lot of soggy food, from spilling water into the basket, dropping food into the pool, not being able to cut food properly because you don't have anything to push against. But those practicalities are ignored in the face of a good photo, of a good way to reinforce our digital narratives.
That's what I call fine dining.
There's a concept in media theory called hyperreality. It was coined by French sociologist and philosopher Jean Baudrillard, and the concept refers to when reality and a simulated version of reality become blurred. In hyperreality, representations of reality, such as an Instagram post or a travel vlog, become more real and significant than the actual reality they represent. Hyperreality manifests when the curated portrayals of luxury travel become more important than the actual experiences themselves. Photographer Zilla Vandenborn made a fantastic example of this when she faked an entire 5-week vacation to her friends and family using digitally manipulated photos. She preyed on the very fake reality we prop up in our hyper-realist landscape. Creating hyperreal media lets us project an image of wealth and affluence, whether it's real or not, and that in turn can lead us to what's known as cultural homogenization. This is basically the sameness that everything takes on because we're all busy imitating each other. Social media and globalization have connected our keeping up with the Joneses lifestyle and motifs in a way that has us all leaning on the same exact imagery to communicate wealth. And just like how the floating breakfast basket forgoes practicality in the name of aesthetics, the chase to appear wealthy often forgoes true wealth building. And what the heck do I mean by that? Because I feel like I'm tiptoeing that line of being Matthew McConaughey in the first season of True Detective. But to put it more simply, and as we'll see with the next fake rich flexing tactic, people are out here making themselves poorer to look richer. And what is a great way to do this, my friends? Debt. Good old-fashioned debt. Vacations and credit card debt unfortunately go hand in hand for many, with a recent Wallet Hub survey showing that more than 1 in 3 Americans still have credit card debt from their last vacation, and 23% of Americans would skip a credit card payment before skipping a vacation. This reliance on debt to fund our travels is further encouraged by some on social media, whether it's someone discussing their travel planning or even predatory personal loan companies trying to normalize the practice.
I just got a $4,000 loan sent straight to my bank account and I'm freaking out, dude, because now I can go on vacation.
Often the mindset is a mixture of YOLO, I'm gonna die one day, so I might as well live it up, and debt can be repaid later, so it's fine. But those mindsets ignore, one, that you're probably not going to die tomorrow. Statistically, you're going to be here tomorrow and the day after and a year from now, and if you're on the younger side, years and years from now. You're more likely to be alive still. So it's important to figure out how to strike a balance between, yes, enjoy the now, but also take care of your future self financially. One way to combat this YOLO mindset is to recognize that there are a lot of ways to enjoy a vacation that don't involve splurging on a $5,000 trip. Cheaper vacations, even staycations, aren't inherently lame because they're less expensive. They just can sometimes feel that way because we're surrounded by fake rich messaging that's often propped up by the debt we here in the land of conscious consumption are trying to avoid. And the other thing that's ignored in these mindsets is that bad debt can be financially catastrophic. Personal loans and credit cards have notoriously high interest rates, with personal loans averaging at 28 to 32% for those with poor credit scores, and average credit card interest rates hovering just under 21% currently. Now, I'm not saying that credit cards are inherently bad to use, because I literally use them for all of my purchases, but they are a fickle financial tool that need to be used thoughtfully. Think of it like holding a weapon. Only use it if you know what you're doing, and you're not going to fall into my sword's bigger than your sword competition, because that's bad, and you're going to get into trouble that way. If you're good at maximizing your credit card rewards with travel purchases, by all means, do it. Though, be careful that credit card rewards do tempt us to spend more than we would normally. And if you're treating your credit card like it's a debit card, meaning that you're only spending what you know you have in the bank, or better yet, you're doing the whole I can only afford it if I can buy it twice mentality, then that's awesome. You are doing credit cards right. But if you are treating a credit card like the key to a credit line kingdom, you're doing credit cards wrong. Credit cards can easily become a mental blind spot for people where they let themselves not think too deeply about their budgets. For vacations, it might be, sure, upgrade our room, it's on the card. Or yeah, we'll do some fancier shopping here because we're on vacation, throw it on the card. The idea being that I'll deal with it later.
Insufficient funds. You ain't got no money.
At the end of the day, fake rich flexing doesn't benefit anyone. If you're a viewer of fake rich flexing, you can be left falling into a comparison trap and wondering why you're behind financially, even if you're not. And if you're the one doing the fake rich flexing, that can just lead you into a cycle of debt and financial instability. It is a one-way ticket to the land of keeping up with the Joneses. So if you're planning a trip soon, my tips would be 1, limit your social media time. Curated feeds full of financially unsustainable lifestyles skew our perception of normal, and it's just not helpful. 2, get comfortable rejecting FOMO, the fear of missing out, and instead lean into JOMO, the joy of missing out. There is always going to be something you're not going to get to do on a trip, whether it's that one restaurant you heard about, or the one activity from a listicle online, or even not going to some popular destination in the first place. We simply cannot do everything, and it is so unfair to our mental and financial health to expect us to do everything. And last tip, think about your budget and what is authentically important to you. Where do you really want to put your money when you vacation? Like for me, if I'm honest, I don't care that much about food. Like I enjoy good food, but I'm fine eating the same thing over and over, and I don't think my palate is very sophisticated to recognize what fancy fine dining is food, and I don't crave that. Like when I went to Paris for the first time, my first meal there was a KFC, so I don't pour a ton of my travel budget toward food. Same with flights. I don't mind basic economy, so I don't upgrade. But I have realized over time that I care a lot about a hotel or accommodations location. Specifically, how safe do I feel? What is the neighborhood like? What are the amenities inside like? I don't need 5-star, but I do want a place, and I'm willing to pay extra for a place that feels comfortable to me. And because I know that about myself, I can then curate my travel budget to fit those things, even if some other people might have their travel budget look very, very different. Yes, hyperreality and cultural homogenization can pressure us into these narrow aesthetic scripts for us to follow for our trips. But I say, throw that out the door. It is your trip, it is your life. So enjoy it within your means in the way that you want to. But what do you think? Did I miss any fake rich flexing tactics when it comes to vacations? How do you think about vacations for yourself? Let me know in the comments below, and what other topics you'd like me to cover for this series or just in general on this channel. Thank you so much to my patrons on Patreon for always supporting this channel, and for those on Buy Me a Coffee who donate. I appreciate you all so much. If you're interested in checking out more videos, I have a ton of different playlists available that you can check out. And thank you for watching. I will see you next time. Bye.